We wouldn't have it here if it wasn't that. You know, it's like we may get a little, you know, but yeah, we're not. We're not like that. So anyway, my dear. So yeah, by the way, you guys are dressed really lovely. So what are your names? Glenn. Sabrina. Okay. So by the way, show us what you got.
It's our autograph booth.
Stand up. You got the whole thing going on here. You got the ball. You got it's got those. Okay. A little bit of round of applause for our cosplayers. Now you're here with us all weekend? Just here for the day? All right, well, you're that way too, so. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Odd Couple anime. Our buddies Josh Martin and Chris Rager. Woo! What's up, brother? How you doing all these?
Sit right here.
We can do that.
Might as well. Nice intimate crowd here.
Yeah!
Sorry, we were waiting on the elevator that was never coming, so we decided to take the stairs. And I was like, oh, concept.
Put it on, it was quicker.
Oh, thank you.
The elevator gets lost, it only goes 2 ways.
Well,
The back.
it was the service elevator, because the regular elevator isn't working. And the service elevator moves so slow. Poor service elevator.
Oh.
Nailed it.
Yeah, can't beat that. Good night, everybody. Good night.
All right, that's it. And the panel.
All right, well, they're not here to see me, so you just can try to do all that stuff. All right, so, well, boys, you were dubbed the Odd Couple of Anime. Well, that's the title of this panel. So I told them a little bit about you guys are thick as thieves, and you have quite a history, so why don't you tell them where it all began?
Well, you know, Josh and myself, as you know, Mr. Satan and Majin Buu and Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball fans, obviously.
Woo!
Good. Otherwise, you're in the wrong place. So, no. Back in 1995 or so, I started going to an acting school called KD Studios. After I was in college for a little bit and I'd done some plays, I was like, oh, acting, I'm going to do that. So, I was thinking about being a graphic designer. I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this acting thing. I took improv and this and that, and I ended up at KD Studio. And then Josh, he was already at KD Studio. And long story short, you know how those college days, sometimes you don't show up as much as you need to. And well, Josh apparently had to come back and retake his second semester of KD because, he didn't show up. But because Josh screwed up, we were able to meet and be in the same class. When I came in to my second semester, he restarted his second semester with me. So we met there at KD Studio. Soon after there, we graduated, and Josh and myself started putting together, with some friends of ours, some comedy troupes. Sketch and improv comedy was kind of our thing. We want to kind of be a little SNL, a little bit Whose Lines It Anyway, except we were going to cuss and stuff. And then it was going to be a little more rated R than what you saw on TV, is my point. A lot more. We started off with this comedy troupe called Actors Without a Stage. We were very actory at the time. It was very much about the acting process and the theater. And then we eventually became a comedy troupe called Dead Comics Society, which I've always liked that name. I always thought that one was clever. And then ultimately, we met a guy named Mike McFarland. Dead Comics Society had kind of gone by the wayside. We met a guy named Mike McFarland. You know who Mike McFarland is?
Master
Roshi, yes. So Mike McFarland was working at this restaurant called Dick's Last Resort that we all started working at, right? We started working at Dick's Last Resort. You don't know where Dick's Last Resort is or what it is. It's basically a restaurant where you go in and the servers treat you rudely,
They make you wear fun
right?
hats.
And they put funny hats on you and write stupid sayings on them and make you try to make you feel bad about yourself, which makes you feel good about yourself in return. It's all about having fun with the guests. So we met Mike there. I was really good at that job, by the way. I just wanted to say that was one of my favorite jobs. I was fired from Dick's Last Resort 5 times.
They let you come back?
Yeah, well, see, turnover in the waiting table business is not like turnover in the management business of restaurants, too. So, they get like a new GM would come in, or that GM may have felt bad for me and thought maybe I got fired for, not a good reason. Look, I was good at my job. I was a good dick. At Dick's Last Resort. And so, anyway, Mike, he'd seen our show, and he knew we weren't really doing anything at the time, so he wanted to put back together another comedy troupe. We called that Section 8 Comedy. You think low-income housing or something like that, but it was really a reference to MASH, the show MASH, where Klinger, he wanted a Section 8 from the Army, right? So he dressed like a woman, so they'd think he was crazy. Right, well, that's not that crazy these days anymore. People are like, we've seen that, right. Klinger. So that was the reference, and then from there, Mike, he was very much into anime and Dragon Ball and things like that. He was already a fan. And when he found out that Dragon Ball was coming to the Texas area to be dubbed, Mike immediately went and auditioned, and he got the part of Master Roshi. He comes into rehearsal one night, right before we were going to do a show, and he's like, hey man, they're doing... they need actors out in Fort Worth, Texas to do voices for cartoons. And I was like, they gave you a part? And he's like, yeah. It's like, if you can do it, I know they're going to give me a part for sure. So sure enough, I went and auditioned. Mr. Satan was on the docket that day. I auditioned, and they liked my sort of 80s wrestlers rendition of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Savage and a few others sort of mashed into this voice. I just always imagined like Mr. Satan was always cutting a wrestling promo. Didn't matter. Let me tell you something, they're mean, kind of thing. And then I got the part. Then about a year or so later, this Boo Saga thing happens, right? There's a new saga that's going on. We killed Cell. I defeated Cell. And for those of you who think I didn't, Android 16's head does not throw itself. You're welcome, Gohan. So... From there, Sabbath and some of the guys came out and see our show. We were in Section 8 Comedy, like I told you. Some of our stuff's a little risque. And Josh here, I'm going to let him kind of finish the story there, but Josh created a character in our show that we deemed, basically you all know the Pillsbury Doughboy? Right, well we made him into a gangster rapper.
Oh my God.
And we called him the Pillsbury Homeboy. And Josh, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so instead of... nothing says loving like my crescent rolls. I did. Nothing says loving like the blunts I be puffing.
So there you go.
Yeah. That's it.
But at that show, we did Sabbath and a few other people. Sabbath's the director. He was in the audience that night. And Josh does that thing, and then he comes up to you afterwards. What does he say?
It's like, I think from the boys of Majin Buu. And so he invited me to come and read the part of Majin Buu, and he explained the whole thing to me, and I was super confused because I didn't know anything about anime or Dragon. And, but I just tried to keep up, and 3 days later, or 3 sessions later, should I say, I was convinced that I think they're going to keep calling me back.
Josh thought he was still going in to audition, right? And they were actually paying him already. And it took him a while. He's like, really? It's because it was in the beginning. Boo doesn't say a lot. He has just a lot of cooing and right. So Josh's like, man, they can't be paying me for this, But sure enough,
20 years later,
right? And then I remember not too long after that, Mr. Satan goes in and he tries to convince Boo that he's like, I'm going to take care of this. And who knew it would be so easy? Like, hey, Boo, stop killing people. He's like, well, I didn't know that was bad. Bobby told me it was good, and I did it. But if it was bad, I won't do it anymore. I'm like, score. I win. But I assume then again, once there was the house, and then there was like the bathtub, and we were cooking eggs. I remember coming into rehearsal one night, and I said to Josh, I was like, dude, Josh, like our characters are like friends. They like live together now. They take baths together, and I make you eggs in the morning. It's kind of weird, but they like live together now. And so ultimately it was life imitating art in some way. We were best buds, and Mr. Satan and Boo ended up becoming a couple, as it were, a bromance in many ways, and so
it's a boo-mance.
A boo-mance. All right, I like it. Trademark. And so that's kind of our story. You know, we met many years ago back in the acting school days, and you know, kind of stuck together to try to do comedy. You know, in between all of that, Josh also went off to be Barney the Dinosaur, the live stage tour. One of the first gigs he booked out of acting school. And so he was kind of gone for a little while here and there between and all that. Yeah, my best friend was Barney. Not something I really told people for quite a long time, actually. Now it's cool to say that.
Right? It's doctor.
People would smack me like, "What's wrong with you? Barney the dinosaur, get out of my face."
No, really, for sure.
I did not lead with that often.
Right?
As a matter of fact, when I met my now wife at the time, it took me a while to tell her exactly what I did. And because I just told her that I was in entertainment, and I had some of my little friends that played Baby Bob and BJ, young people, her mind wandered about what kind of entertainment I was doing with little people.
What is happening?
I was, you know, you don't usually leave when you're 21. Yeah, I'm Barney. Oh, cute. Anyway.
You weren't saying that in the bars to, like, you know, get a little action.
No.
People are like, "Excuse me? Goodbye."
So, but later on I told her, and then everything fell into place for her. But anyway, yeah. When you're 21, it's hard to lead with, "Hi, I'm Barney."
How you doing? Oh, yeah, you know,
it has been.
You know, like the big purple dinosaur girl. What's up? That's right. Barney loves you. He wants to share. All right.
Just remember,
At the Disney
I
attractions
love
where I
you
work
too.
at, you know, there's a lot of equity stages, and guys always make the big mistake of, "Well, hey, I help Captain Jack Sparrow." And the answer is always, "Oh, do you know the guys that the stuntmen lights motor action?"
Right. Where are those guys?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you wear lights motor action? No. Do you know the guys? No. Oh.
No. Anyway,
That's
hey,
nice.
look,
So you're a
that's
helper.
girl. You're a helper.
That's right. You're the tracer.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Little
Yeah.
chasing gaming reference. Sorry. No? Okay. Moving on.
Questions, maybe?
Yeah, I say, yeah. Let's just do hands, and I'll bring the mic to you so everybody can hear. And, you know, we'll take this young man up front.
All right. What's your name, boss?
Leroy.
Yeah, what's your name, boss?
Correct. 10 points.
All right.
Nice.
Okay. Now for the bonus question.
Right.
Now,
Double or
you mentioned
nothing.
that you had to tell your wife that you were an entertainer. I mean, didn't the big purple suit kind of tip her off?
No, yes.
He didn't like wear it to lunch.
Exactly.
You know.
This was, I was actually, I
He
met
just
her.
wore the feet and walked around. Sorry.
I met her after a comedy show, but I
Right.
was in Dallas on break in between legs
Right.
of the tour, and so yeah, I didn't have the costume with me. I wasn't within the capacity of performing Barney at the time that I met her, and so
That was at the Copper Tank Brewery.
yeah, the Copper Tank.
It's no longer there.
And as we all know, the voice of Barney is downstairs as well.
That's
West.
exactly. Yeah, me and Bob go way back. Go way back.
When did you first meet Bob, and how long did it take you to say, "Hey, I've been inside you"? No, that came out.
You know, I didn't really have like a one-on-one relationship with Bob when I first started out, or for very much longer after that, because he did his voice stuff mainly for the TV show, and everything that, all the voice work that he provided for our show on the road was pre-recorded.
Yeah.
All that tape. We did have an on the road, a tour voice in case the DAT tape screwed up. Then he could come on and we'll be back in 5 minutes or whatever. Sometimes we do a TV appearance or a news in the morning to promo and stuff. So we do a quick interview like that. But yeah, it was years later, even more so now, do I have a better relationship with Bob being out of the costume. And now I've come full circle, because I remember being in the costume, being 21 and growing up with Mel Blanc and, you know, the cartoons, and being like, I'd like to be that part. Not that I didn't like being inside, because I love puppets too, so that was a fun little thing for me to do as well. But envy might be the wrong word, but it was a goal that I was looking out of the mouth going, oh wow, I'd like to do that voice, and now I am doing voices and doing gigs with Bob West, so.
Boom.
Bang.
Yeah. Suck it, Barney. No.
Hey, what's your name?
Gavin? So this is for Chris. So I was just wondering, what are your feelings on taking over for Blackbeard in One Piece from Cole Brown?
Oh wow, good question. Honored to be quite honest. I really never knew Cole Brown. I was aware when he passed away, and it was fairly somber around the offices at that time. But One Piece is now back. We're dubbing it again. They're really going full force with this because I think there's some sort of ideology there that we can catch up. And I'm like, can we? But that is the attempt, at least, that's taking place. So I really, truly am honored. I got to have a little piece already in the Stampede movie, which I think is a nice little setup. I think for future things to happen. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, you don't go break a bunch of people out of prison. And nothing's going to happen after that. So it should be interesting, but truly honored. And Mike McFarlane, Master Roshi, he's the director on that. He was the one that ultimately decided to give me that part. And so I appreciate Mike for doing that and trusting me to pull it off. And, I've always had a good ear for those kinds of things and being able to mimic stuff, but at the same time, you still kind of got to make it your own because, it is you, it's your voice. And it's been fun. It's been a nice little challenge to bring something to that character. So, thank you.
And this. Okay. What's your name?
What's your favorite thing about playing Majin Buu and Mr. Satan?
I think it's the relationship that has come from the fact that they, all those scenes where they're living together and taking baths and cooking eggs and like sitting in front of the TV, smoking a cigar and those kinds of things, just kicking it, And then I really did enjoy too the intro to Super, Mr. Satan's talking to the press kind of thing, and then Boo all comes in all hungry and stuff like that. It's exactly how I imagined it, because I was like, in my head, I'm like, I want them to have a little offshoot show where it's just Boo,
Your eyes here.
Satan, and oh yeah, thank you, Boo and Satan, and they're kind of they're living together, the odd couple circumstances, So I'd like to see a lot more. I'd like to see a little sideshow of Boo and Satan living together and the comedy that ensues there, because I have a feeling it's a lot of Mr. Satan trying to convince Boo not to turn people into chocolate because he's hungry, or kill people because there's no more pudding, little things, and and then in the end, Mr. Satan's like, save the world again, all right, just by being friends with
You're
him.
welcome.
That's right. Whew. Chocolate sprinkles got me just in time.
All right, what's your name?
Ashley.
What are your favorite Mr. Satan and Boo quotes? And also, is all the pudding still booze?
Josh?
All pudding is booze first.
That's probably one of my favorite lines too.
All pudding cups are for boo.
It's fun to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine in my head in real life, like, if it was a real life thing, that there would be like refrigerators just full of pudding, and Mr. Satan's he has like a downstairs area with just a bunch of refrigerators and nothing but pudding inside them, just to keep all of you safe.
Sounds like a good plan.
But favorite lines, I did like in the Battle of the Gods movie. Mr. Satan challenges Beerus to a fight when he's drunk, and then he kind of falls over, and then Videl runs to his side. Sabat and I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this, I don't know what the original Japanese line was, I can't remember. But Sabat wanted to do this joke, because at the time, remember, there was this David Hasselhoff thing, we get all drunk, and his daughter brought him a cheeseburger. That he's eating a cheeseburger while drunk, talking to his daughter. Right, so we did a little joke on that, where he's like, oh, Videl, can you give me a cheeseburger? And that was the line, but I begged Sabat, begged him to let this be the line, and I think this would have been a better line. He'd be like, "Oh, Videl, man, this hangover's gonna be over 9,000. This is gonna be a hangover 9,000 or something." Sabbath's like, no, we are not doing that. I was like, the fans will love it. I wanted to give you a little fan, little fan moment there, but just know that Sabbath said no. All right, so how great is he really? There you go. More questions?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Sabrina. If you could voice any character from DBZ other than your own, who would you pick?
Take all the characters Sabbath does.
That's like half the show.
Who else? Yantra and stuff like that. Mr. Popo. No. I think the most fun would probably be Vegeta. I just like his really bad attitude. And I often have a bad attitude towards things, so I think it would come very natural to me. Probably Vegeta, for sure.
I'd do Mr. Satan.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd say Boo, but I can't do that. Can't get Boo like chocolate.
That was a great effort.
Okay, what's your name?
Jonathan. I was gonna see, can you guys do like a improv comedy between Boo and Mr. Hawker?
All right, where are they? Give me a location where two people could meet. Starbucks. All right. Listen up, Boo. Only got $20, so don't get anything too crazy. What do you want? You want a venti caramel latte?
Who wants chocolate?
Okay, we'll get. Hey, buddy, we need 2 chocolate croissants. That's right, that's French for crescent roll.
Who wants pudding?
I don't think they got pudding, Boo. Hey, you guys got.
Who wants pudding?
Hey there, millennial person. I need you to go get some damn pudding, or everyone's gonna die.
Who turn you to pudding and eat you?
Run!
And scene.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you. And that's how the anime would go. Power punches.
Good guy. And I'm gonna make that the last request for the test. So, all right. Any more questions? Anyway, back here. Going once. Going.
We will just end this panel right now.
We wanted them to do karaoke.
Oh.
Got her.
Nailed it.
Let me ask you.
We're just gonna start asking you guys questions.
Yeah, wait, we can do that too. Let me ask you this: when you guys jumped on board with the anime world, when did you suddenly realize that, oh wow, this is like a thing, isn't it? Isn't just some side thing? Like, what was your first real big fan experience?
Well, my first experience in kind of realizing oh, this is something. Score Entertainment, made the card game and collector card series and stuff, and then when they first did that, they hired a bunch of the voice actors to come in and do a signing for all the cards, right? So this was my first ever time that somebody wanted me to sign my name for anything, for any reason. So, and then they gave me a really nice check to do it, and I thought, huh, really? You're gonna give me all this money just to sign my name? And then I remember too, Chris Sabat, he gave me a little piece of advice. I used to sign my name CHRISRAGER. You could see all of it all in cursive, very nice signature. And Sabat's like, oh man, you're gonna have to shorten that shit. You're gonna kill your hand after a while, So he was right, because I was like, oh my god, I sound like 600 of these things, right? But so now it's just like a CH and an RG, and that's all you get. Right, it's squiggly lines. Josh, how about you?
I think about that time, probably when they took us out on the Hummer tour.
Yes. Soon after.
Around 02, 03, they wrapped an original Humvee, military grade, with Dragon Ball Z logos. And Sonny Strait drove it.
He did.
At the beginning.
Krillin,
and then Adam Sheehan wrapped it up.
Yeah.
And they would fly a couple of us out every weekend to meet up with the Hummer, and we'd go to a comic book store and an appearance. And this was before conventions are what they are today.
No doubt.
I mean, it was cool, but I think when we went to San Diego Comic-Con, it was already known to be something good. It wasn't as big as it is now, but there was a lot of people there to get our autograph, and I was like,
Well, you got to go to San Diego?
I did. It was
bullshit, man.
it was me. I think it's me and Sonny.
No way.
Me and Sonny, or maybe me and Damian Clark.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I'd go to San Diego.
It was somebody good.
Nice. What's the craziest thing, booth story you could share with us in front of a general audience and without anybody getting sued?
Booth?
Tales from the booth.
Man, mine are boring. I don't. I might
No escapades?
I might let a curse word slip every once in a while when I mess up. But yeah. You know.
So when you mess up, do you curse in Boo's voice?
No comment.
Yes, I'm sure it's recorded. Come to my table, I'll do it for you. But yeah, nothing crazy on mine because I don't get to say a lot. And then yeah.
I don't know, some of mine were leaked recently and trended on Twitter for 2 days. And I still think it's hilarious. Because there was a scene in which Mr. Satan is in front of the press. It's a press conference, right? And he's only dressed in a towel. He's just fresh out the showers. And at some point, the towel drops, right? You know, it's like it's supposed to be this little embarrassing moment. Well, Chris Abbott kind of looked at each other and went, "Oh, you want to? Oh, okay, let's make it be funny, right? You know." Because we'd make these little bombs for people. So the reporter in the next thing had to hear my little bomb, as it were. And, well, we can't do that anymore. So that all ended after that. But
Way to go, Chris.
it wasn't me, man. It was Sean's. That was the worst one. Anyway, next question.
Anybody in the audience going, okay, good.
Okay, I'll squeeze over here.
No problem. What's your name?
I'm Cece.
What do you have for Cece?
Do y'all prefer to do your live action, like actual acting, or do you prefer to do your voice acting?
Huh. Man, that's hard to say. I like voice acting because I can wear this. And I don't have to worry about being in costume or makeup or those kinds of things. But there is something fun about being part of a production, that live action that way, or whether we're at stage or a commercial or some other thing like that. 'Cause, you know, Josh is kind of like myself. We just like to watch the process and all the people and the setup of it all, the lights and everything, you know. So there's always something interesting and fun to look at in that regard. But in that world, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, you know, and which is fine. Because, like, again, there's still stuff to look at, and you're getting paid either way. They want to go into overtime, then hell yeah, please do that. That's more money. But and then in the anime world, voiceover, video games, things like that, it's come in, do the thing, go home. You know, so there's pluses and minuses to both. Well, there's not really minuses to voiceover. It's fun. It's fun. I could wear my pajamas if I wanted, I guess is what I'm saying. And then the other stuff, you know, it's about more of the process and being a part of it. So.
I like voiceover because I'd never get cast as a big fat pink monster.
That's true.
Otherwise.
That's true.
So that's fun. I normally get typecast recently as monsters, cute monsters. I don't know why that
If there's
happened.
something pink and blobby in an anime, people, all the directors of the Funimation being go, Josh Martin.
We need Josh
into this.
We need Josh for a line.
It's typecasting.
Yeah. But I love live performing because there's nothing like getting that immediate response from the audience or from someone else, the crew or the whatever. For years before these cons were out, go in, do the thing, and then I don't know if anybody ever even watched it, much less what it looked like when it was done or whatever, until years later with the internet. And I had my box of VHS takes.
Right, with the picture on the side, those days are over.
But only my episode.
Oh yeah,
My
just the
episode.
boo stuff.
Sorry. But
You know,
yeah.
If I were to pick a favorite though out of it all, I mean, those days of us doing comedy, being on stage, live on stage, doing improv, having that immediate reaction with the audience, that's the best. It doesn't get any better than that. You can do all the movies and all the voiceovers you want, but having a live audience and being on stage and laying it all out there on the stage and then going to get drunk after, basically, or just, you just leave it all out there, and that's really the best. That I enjoy the most, for sure.
I'm in a Beastie Boys tribute band
Yes.
at present, so I really like to perform live. Definitely.
Rhyming and stealing.
Rhyming and stealing, check us out.
Right?
Yeah.
They may be coming to your town. You never know. Man, they play a lot of the House of Blues and stuff, and it's really good. You also check them out on YouTube, man. Seriously, you can't watch the Beastie Boys live anymore. God rest MCA soul. But you can see them, and I tell you, man, they got costume changes. They play live instruments and stuff. It ain't no karaoke thing. They have an actual DJ who's mixing it live as they do it, and it's a damn good show. It really is. So check them out.
Very nice, right? Got time for probably one or two more. Any takers? Going once? Going twice? I'll throw this at you guys.
Shoot.
This was. Do you ever have a moment you're just waiting in line or something, whatever, and as a kid, just got on a Dragon Ball shirt or something this way, and you just spring the voice on them, just get a reaction, and the kid doesn't believe it's you?
Yeah, we had a couple of those in New York, actually. Where it's sort of almost that moment where, maybe they're still young enough, and then they hear the voice, and they have this moment like, cartoons don't speak by themselves? This guy does it? Whoa. And they have that, like, they realize that there's just that moment that cartoons don't talk. People do. For them.
For real?
Exactly. So they do have this sort of like, I can't believe it.
They usually walk by and they, look at me.
Who's not a fat pink guy.
Right. Ugly.
With whatever that is on your head. I don't know what you know what that is.
See,
is it like an antenna? What is that on his head?
Yeah.
Like, what's that about?
And then I spring into the voice, and I always get. They don't
Did he
expect
make
the
that
voice
noise?
to come out of my face.
Is there someone standing
It's
behind
fun.
that guy?
It's fine.
And then we'll just start tag teaming back and forth, like, oh yeah, and just start, whatever Satanisms I can come up in his booisms, Satan and booisms. And yeah, we have fun with that, for sure.
Blow the kid away.
But not like in the drive-thru. Like, can I get a Big Mac? With some extra fries, I want extra fries. Don't get, you can put it in a medium thing, or put extra in there.
Chris will often, I tell on Chris will often, if we're in public or something, and someone is wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt, he'll be like, hey, nice shirt.
How you doing?
You like Dragon Ball Z? Yeah. I'm Mr. Satan.
And they're like, what?
Really? Huh? What?
Yeah, Google it.
No, I did. I was coming out of a GameStop one day, and someone was wearing a Dragon Ball shirt. And I was like, hey, cool Dragon Ball shirt, man. You like Dragon Ball? And they're like, yeah, man, cool. I was like, hey, you got a phone? They're like, yeah, hey, dude, look this up for me. I typed in the name Chris Rager, R-A-G-E-R, and then he did it. And it's like, what does he say? I go, I go, who is that? He goes, well, that's you. I'm like, what does it say? And he's like, holy man, oh my God, man, you can't believe, like you have that little, just right outside the GameStop. I pull that inside the GameStop too. Now I got 20% off every time I go to the GameStop.
Shrewd.
I don't know if that's real. I think it's because I have that little card thing. I'm not sure.
May just be
in my head, it's because I'm awesome and super famous. That's what it is.
All right, boss, bring us home.
I can attest to you that that reaction is genuinely real because I swear I saw Chris Sabat walking down the street on my way here. He had his hat on. I saw his beard, so I knew it was real.
Oh yes.
And he was he was carrying Subway, looking at his phone, just walking down the street.
That sounds like Sabbath.
and I freaked out. I was like, "That's Chris Sabat!"
Right? I bet he felt very safe at that moment.
Not.
Honestly, he probably didn't look up for his phone, but
It's just a shame that I didn't have my windows down.
Subway sandwich and pound that down. Yeah.
And then I was like, "Did you see him? Did you see him?" She's like, "No, I didn't see him." So I was like, "Now I just look like a liar."
I see it all the time.
You can see him downstairs.
I see
Yes,
it all the time.
we're going
He's
to
kind
the
of
photo
annoying.
op, so I'm
Little.
going to see him.
It's good.
And I'm going to be like, "Bro, did you walk down the street carrying Subway?"
You know, he's a human being, right?
Yes. Well, you see, this is
You know,
my
he has
first
to eat
time
food,
meeting
right?
you guys, so like this is a dream come true.
I certainly appreciate it, man. I really do. I appreciate
I've been
your
watching
excitement.
Dragon Ball since the 90s, dude. Like, it has been my life.
Right on.
Cool. Before we break up, guys, real quick, what social media outlets can we follow you on if we don't already? And if you got anything upcoming that you're allowed to share with us?
Josh Martin Voice on Twitter, Original Boo on Instagram.